Hello, everybody, and welcome to the weekly collective reading. I'm Nicholas Ashbaugh. It's great to see everybody. If it's your first time here, welcome. For everybody that shows up from week to week, it's great to see you again. We're going to cover a lot of things today. The special topic that you chose was the star, like the star in tarot, wish fulfillment, and manifestation. I even put a little poll up for those that are watching live where you can kind of tell me where your main focus will be. I might pull a bonus card on that based on the feedback that I get. We're going to get started, as always, with some channeled messages. And this is basically for everybody that's present. Everything today is. That's what collective really means. But all of these messages come through for the collective, and then we get into more granular messages as we go through. So the first thing that I saw in dreams, as my throat chakra activates, was a need to basically focus on clearer communication. So the very last bullet kind of says it all. I had this feeling that someone was giving like a soliloquy or a lecture or a sermon. And all of these are forms of communication where the speaker doesn't engage with the person that they're speaking to, or they're not doing it as much as they could. So just like I put some polls out, I ask how you're doing, I keep an eye on chat. You have to do the same thing in real life just to make sure that everything is resonating. So what I saw was someone kind of glazing over, and then I heard almost like the Charlie Brown, comic where it's blah, 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 blah. And I couldn't even hear what the person was saying. So it could be the tone of communication. It could be the words that were chosen. It could be a bad time. I chose the Two of Swords here because it's basically a message not being received. That's one way to read this, because the eyes and ears are closed. Sometimes it's because the person doesn't want to listen. So one of the most important things to do as an effective communicator, besides active listening and engaging with your audience, is to also make sure that the time is right and that the person is ready. Because if that's not happening, then no amount of preparation or engagement is going to matter. And sometimes people just don't want to talk or listen, right? I get it. It does help to pause, engage with the person. You can even say, do you have any questions, or was there anything that wasn't clear? Good teachers do this, and just good communicators in general. So that's what I saw, and it did make me laugh a little bit because it reminded me of that cartoon where it's just, that was well captured, whoever came up with that, blah, 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 blah. We've all been there where usually like it's school, but sometimes it's just a person that keeps talking. So that's the first message. Stop someone if you're getting into that glazed energy. You could just say, I'm so sorry. We need to go back a couple steps, and we need to go slower. And I need to understand how this is relevant. Sometimes people aren't giving you relevant information. So you can hit the brakes as a listener and say, this isn't clear. That's the easiest way to help, because a lot of times we're in the, passenger seat, not driving. This morning, this made me laugh. In my dreams, I heard an alarm clock. Then I woke up and there was a fire drill that was going on in my apartment complex. So at 1 o'clock this morning, which is why I'm drinking some coffee, I was standing on the street waiting for this. It's a wake-up call, and this is just another symbol that came through in real life. I chose Judgment because I thought of the one card that shows people rising up. It's definitely Judgment. And judgment is depending on a decision. It's the universe. We can see Gabriel at the top of that card saying, are you ready? And if not now, then when are you going to be ready? Like, what's the next move? What's the next step? And people may be looking to you for that decision. It's also a call to action to prepare for best case scenario, for worst case scenario. And basically, this is the week to take some action on anything that you might be dragging your feet on. Whether it's like booking an appointment to the doctor, or booking a vacation or trip, or having an important conversation. This is saying, if you don't do it now, then it ends up getting... How funny is that? There was another alarm that went off on my phone. If you don't do it now, when is it going to happen? So lots of little alarms that have been beeping both in real time and in dreams. So this is a time to wake up, okay? This one was really interesting, and I actually can also put like the Seven of Swords on this one, but I chose Justice here because it's also about doing the right thing. So what I saw in dreams, two things. I saw someone picking a lock, and then I saw someone picking a pocket. So this represents, for some of you, just stopping someone from trying to, I think it really has to do with taking credit. like taking an idea, trying to claim it as their own. There could also be someone who it's like, because we're looking at security, so it could be insecurity. They could be acting out of insecurity to try to make something happen. And basically you have to, in these situations, stand up and do the right thing. It's also a call to action for those of you that might be engaging in a new contract to scrutinize the contractual details to make sure that your intellectual property is properly taken care of. And people of all levels and sort of experience levels as well, as I should say, have these challenges. So making sure that you're getting credit where credit is due, you're not signing away too many rights in a contract, that if someone is trying to, in a corporate environment in particular, try to take some idea that you had in a conversation and then put it in a board meeting or something, you hit the brakes and say, hey, we had a discussion about this. And then also this is just a chance to firm up just general security. So we're looking at passwords for digital footprints, and then also looking at things like locks and making sure that you're not carrying too many credit cards. I know that I only carry the ones that I need, and then I leave the rest locked somewhere safe, because we don't need to have all of that on our person all the time. And let me see, I think that might have been everything for this. Yes, that was it. So overall, improvements with communication, looking at what you want to take action on this week and doing it, and then being very, very mindful of contracts, agreements, and, just recognition and credit. That's the other thing. Sometimes people just feel like they're not being, recognized for their contributions. In a marriage, in a business, it doesn't matter. And it doesn't have to always do with like intellectual property. It could just be like, hey, we did this together. I'm in this with you, but like, I need some recognition. So I love you. Thank you. Great work. All of those things are ways to basically, rectify that. Okay. We're going to move on to the 7-day forecast. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Twice a month, I gift some memberships. So we're in the first week of the month. I'll do some today. We'll talk more about that in a minute. But for now, let's focus on the forecast. I know sometimes Dakota gets inundated. You'll know if you get it. You won't have to ask. There'll be a notification. But we're not going to do that until probably right before the main spread. Okay. 7-day forecast. We're going to basically walk through the week ahead. I already have a deck ready. So let's begin. Okay. Good to see everybody. How are you doing today? Let me know in the comments. When I chose this deck, there are two 10 of Swords cards in here. There's one that says everything's okay, and there's one that said 10 of Swords. In my head, I'm like, I wonder if this week we're going to get both. Just because I could feel heightened emotions, but we got it for today, so that makes sense. All right, let's begin. Okay, we're going to get started first with, of course, today. I laughed when I saw it because I kind of felt the energy. I knew it was going to pop up somewhere in the spread for this week. And this is the deck that came through because it helps me understand which kind of 10 of Swords we have. This is really reading as burnout. We can even see the screen time here on this card where she's been looking at that phone or that digital device for a long time. So for some of us, it's just a reminder to disconnect today. That includes like taking a little break from social media or even watching movies or things on the phone. Switch to something else. It'd be good to go outside, have a real life conversation, or if you're going to watch something, watch it on a TV. The device fatigue is setting in for some of you. Some of you may be also looking at what somebody said, a text, an email, or you're replaying the last conversation, because when the 10 of Swords comes through, it's not an elevated conversation. It's usually someone getting in a barb, saying something inconsiderate, maybe not necessarily, trying to be malicious, but nonetheless, it left a little bit of a sting. So this is also reminding you that when we hold on to anger, frustration, resentment, it is a two-way poison. It hurts us and it doesn't let the other person move on either. So today, heal yourself, free yourself from that, and focus on what you can control. And don't waste another thought, breath, or just even second worrying about that person. When you go there, and it's normal as you're going through something like that, just change the channel mentally and say, no, I'm not going to give them that energy. I'm going to focus on this. Maybe it's going to, you take a walk, or you clean the house, or you do something to better your life in a way that will make them regret that, because you're going to go onto that path of happiness and success and fulfillment, which is the focus of today's reading. Finally, this can be chronic pain or fatigue. Obviously, if that's going on, you'll want to talk to your doctor, but a lot of times it can just be neck and back pain because of sleeping the wrong way, working too much, holding yourself wrong if the environment isn't ergonomically set up correctly. So a lot to unpack with that, but the good news is it's reversed, which means it's lessening. And typically that you can see the source from which this came, and you can decide to say goodbye to it. Okay? Okay. That is basically for today. Let me just turn this one down a little bit because of the gloss on this. Okay, so that's Sunday. Let's move on to Monday. Looking better at the beginning of the week. Typically, Seven of Wands energy comes through right after you've achieved success. It comes right after Six of Wands. You can see on this card, she has to push back a little bit and say no to this, maybe delegate something here. And there's an encouragement here. I was talking about, taking care of security. This is a good card for security. So Monday is a great day to look at all of those things and see where you want to change things up, enhance security, etc. Now, there's another side to this, which is when it comes to conversations, in the upright, it's about being assertive. And sometimes assertive energy gets misinterpreted as, pushy, or we have lots of words for it, but there's nothing wrong with being decisive and assertive, and you may have to be that on Monday, whether or not that's the popular thing to do. No means no. We already discussed this. I need you to do this. Just being very direct in expectations, because that's going to help clarify, sort of like success parameters, but it can also help someone from going into Seven of Swords energy. So when you are clear, decisive, and have those boundaries, you're not going to get the other energy coming through, people testing. So that's the power of the Seven of Wands. It helps you avoid the Seven of Swords, because people know you're not someone that they're going to mess with. And I mean that in the best possible way. It's a good day to exercise as well. This is about strength building when we look at physical fitness. And I think we covered just about everything. But again, you're doing well. You're on the heels of success on Monday. And that's why more is coming your way. That's basically why the person is so busy on that Seven of Wands. Okay, let's take a look at Tuesday. You're getting closer to completion here. We have the Nine of Wands coming through. Anything that you set your mind to, you have a good chance of accomplishing it. Typically, we see a bandage around the head, which can show mental fatigue. We talked about a little bit of burnout today. It can be coming back on Tuesday. Sometimes just what's going on here too is you can get in your own headspace. You're putting too much pressure on yourself. Someone else might be putting pressure on you. When it comes to external pressure, we want to make sure that we're getting back into this energy of pushing back and having boundaries. I like that these are strong characters on all of these cards, where they're like, I'm nobody's fool. I'm not going to be pushed into a direction that I don't like. Finish what you've started. That's the main takeaway on Tuesday. You can get 90%, if not 99% there. You may not get all the way to the finish line, but you're going to walk away from the day feeling like I did all that I could, and I'm happy with the progress. Self-care when it comes to mental health and just stress management. I think both Monday and Tuesday, because these can be just people that are juggling a lot of energy. Obviously, we can see that. And then things come to a close, and there's a shift that happens in the midweek point here, okay? So the World card in the reverse state. For some of you, it's sort of interesting, like when manifesting, because that is part of today's topic, when you focus on manifesting something, there is still an element of surprise when you meet the manifestation face to face. It's like, oh my God, this is finally happening. I got that job, or this person's interested, or I finished this project, or something happened that is even more surprising than I was thinking about. So when you meet it, there's disbelief, and then it could happen faster. So let's say, for instance, if it's a job interview or an opportunity to buy a house or something, you were hoping to maybe have another week or two to decide, and they're like, we need a decision now. Or if it's a job thing, like, we need you to fly out tomorrow and have a face-to-face. And you think to yourself, okay, I think I can do this. Just take a deep breath. get your feet on the ground, and focus on how this could be an expansive growth opportunity for you. This is also saying in all elements of your life right now, it should be an expansive, not a contracting sort of energy. I love not just astronomy, not just astrology, but astronomy. And I don't know why I've been focusing a lot on like star creation and then also the phases of a star. But stars can go two ways. Like when the gas clouds are aggregating and we have that birth of the star and things expand and spin around it. And then the end of life energy where if the star was really big, the gravity just keeps going inward and inward and inward, and you can have a black hole. What we want to do is avoid the contracting energy right now. We want to go towards expansion this week. So if there's anyone or anything in your life that's pressuring you or pushing you to go back into that, think of what happens in the sky. We don't want that. We don't want you to kind of go inward and become sort of like denser and more just sort of stuck. We want you to be able to set things in motion. We want to put you into the energy of the star, which is what today is about. So maybe that's why I was thinking about it. I didn't put it in the deck, but naturally I've been kind of tuning into some of the star creation over the past week. Plus I was also fascinated by like helium and hydrogen being two elements that create everything else. So, one thing that I would say with this is things start simply. Even in a solar system, it starts with the star first. So start simple, but a simple idea can also grow to something that beyond your expectations. So you have this sort of star seed this week that maybe you don't see how far it's going to take you, but if you are willing to take the step this week, the expansive energy could be again, beyond your expectations. So be willing to go with that flow, if you will. All right. This can be ends and beginnings. So the end of a job, the beginning of a new one, the end of a relationship, the start of a new phase. And again, there's something about this that has a little bit of the energy of disbelief. Everything should be in the expanding, not the contracting energy this week. So if anything's forcing you to contract, it's the wrong or maybe not the most optimal direction in which to head. Okay? Let's take a look at Thursday. We have Page of Cups coming through. We love the Page of Cups. It could be good news. Pages deliver news and opportunities. It's a receptive card. She's looking at that little fish and thinking, is this good enough for me? Am I ready for this? Am I open? It can be love. It can be opportunity. It can be creativity, your own sensitivity, intuition. It's a really great day for the communication that we were hoping for, but maybe I wasn't seeing in the dream. So if you're having difficulty in making that connection, Thursday might be the day to do it. And again, you can even see it here between her and the little Piscean fish in that cup. She's saying, are we in this? Do you get this? There is that back and forth sort of engagement. So great day for a date, for a meeting, for a creative venture, for just having fun. So one of the highlights here right after Wednesday. All right, so Thursday, open your heart to new ideas, express yourself, be creative, etc. Let's look at Friday. Friday, it's okay to ask for more. Just like Oliver Twist, can I have some more? Don't do it in a way that is sort of questioning. What you want to do instead is state common interests and say, I hear what you're saying. I want to accomplish that too, but I need this to make it happen. So put the request in a common goal when you're asking for more. This is also you deciding to invest in yourself. So if there's things that you want for yourself, education, improvements in mental or physical health, if you want to take some savings and invest them in something else, this card is about moving all of those resources around and doing what you need to do for your own happiness. Basically a personal growth and a personal development day. People could also come to you with their hands open, kind of like we would see in the Six of Pentacles, and they may want more from you. So people could be asking for things. And you have to decide to yourself, does this feel right? Is that something that I want to give? Am I on board? All of that. It's also a great day to plant a seed. So we can see you deciding to take something and put it somewhere else. All right, let's take a look at what's coming through on the weekend. Next Saturday, we have a card that actually shows manifestation, the Three of Wands. Some of you may also take a trip. This can be travel, this can be movement, but a lot of times this is actually your ships coming in. We can see them right there. So it's reminding you to be open and to be aware of what's going on in your life, because opportunities are showing up like left and right here. The other thing with this is for some of you too, I'm noticing how she's got her feet firmly planted on the ground. It's about grounding, awareness, and presence of mind and presence of being. So this is a really important time to really put your feet on the ground and decide, I'm on board, let's make this happen. And I would say this is the day where we actually see that fulfillment and manifestation energy coming forth loud and clear. I think Apollo wants to go on the porch. So just like I'm kind of keeping an eye on what's going on in my periphery, you might want to do the same thing for yourself and just focus on what's available, what's coming through for you, etc. All right, so I like that quite a bit. Let's go ahead and focus on what's coming through next Sunday. We have a card here that is reminding you to take care of yourself, temperance, patience, balance, all of these things. And then we also see taking that first step. And she's just testing the water to feel how it feels for her too. So for those of you that tend to do everything for everybody, it's important to also just make sure that you're taking a temperature check for yourself, feeling this out, making sure that it feels right for you too. This is like the biggest angel card next to Judgment, because and maybe the Lovers, but like the angel's front and center here. It's not in the background, which it is on those cards. So Spirit is trying to move you in a new direction. We see the path right here. And I was talking about that decision, that first step, that wake-up call. It feels like you have a full 7 days to make some action happen. And slow is fine, slow and steady. Temperance and the Nine of Pentacles, they're not about speed, they're about precision and persistence. And that's what we have in this card here too. And I usually tie this card to April, so we just came through that. I would say now, there might be some things that are even overdue. So it's just about the beginning or the release of it. And in doing so, you're being guided by Spirit. Tune into the small signs and signals. Make sure you're paying attention to things. Like with both of these cards, you really want to pay attention to what's going on. And yeah, look at that path. A lot of times you'll see a new crown on the distant sun. But on this one, it's just about focusing on finding that balance. So by the way, relationship balance, this can also be sort of like work-life balance. The biggest thing in this, and it's overlooked sometimes as a balancing card, is balancing out what the heart wants and what the heart needs. So it's more of an emotionally balancing card, where the other cards are about resources or right and wrong. When we look at Two of Pentacles, Six of Pentacles, or justice. So this one is saying balance yourself out as well. Okay, let's look at highlights and challenges for this week, and then we'll move on to the elements. So the biggest challenge, obviously could just be today, the Ten of Swords. I think that is actually the main challenge. The rest of the week is pretty opportunistic. I actually think that there's a big shift at the midpoint. So I would say Wednesday's the first highlight. And then I think that Thursday and Saturday are pretty darn good too. Receiving some good news, possibly seeing some manifestation coming through. And across the board, it looks pretty darn good. All right, so let's go ahead now and bring this into the next portion, which is going to be the elements. This is going to be fire, earth, air, and water. Let me just decide which deck I want to use for this, and then we will proceed. How's everybody doing today? I hope you're doing great. Drop me a comment and let me know. Okay, let's give the cards a shuffle. Fire, earth, air, and water. Makes me smile here because we see two cards that are right after one another. So some of you are a little bit ahead. And I also like that we got the star coming through, but let's take it element by element. We're going to start off with fire, and we got fire for fire here, the Eight of Wands. Not only that, but I mentioned the horizon. the sun in the distance. We have the sun in the distance on this Eight of Wands. And it's really saying the important thing for my Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius watchers out there is to focus on making sure that all things are leading to some sort of central focus. Are you just busy, or are you busy and making progress? And it's also saying, like, try not to let the shiny things distract you. We do have like train tracks or a road here trying to aim you towards the horizon. So don't let things get lost in the shuffle. Reach out to this and get the support of others if you need it. Because we have right here the Seven of Wands. So you're just one step away from basically seeing this progress happening. It's a great card for business. It's a great card for any project that's underway because it basically shows progress, and that's what we want. So I really like what I see here, and I love that bright light at the end of the sort of the road here, or the path, because it aligns us with Temperance, which showed us that path ahead. So stay focused, stay intentional, collaborate and cooperate to make sure that everything's moving in that right direction. But overall, for fire signs, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius, it's a good week ahead. Let's go ahead and move to earth signs. Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. You got the star. It's reversed, but it's still the star, and that's a good thing. In its upright position, the star is connecting you to source. We can see someone here riding one of those rays of light. It's a really beautiful illustration, actually. And it almost looks angelic when we look at it like that. Anyway, with the star in reverse, what happens sometimes is you may be trying to change, shift, or mold yourself in order to receive love, support, etc., or to fit in. I'm just going to shut this door since you don't want to go out. Okay, so with that being said, we want to be mindful of not trying to, there's like that old Billy Joel song, don't go changing. This is really what that's about. Like, don't go changing to try to make someone else, happy or satisfied or whatever. This is about authenticity and really connecting to who you are, being who you are, and knowing that that singular or unique energy is actually what's going to make you successful and stand out from the crowd. And that's really the takeaway here. If you have sort of like veered from the path of whatever it is that you were wanting to do, this is also a return to form and a return to that source energy. You could be thrown into the spotlight. By the way, world, also very good energy, but also reversed. So like with the world and the star in reverse, it's sort of saying things are going in your direction. The spotlight could be on you. There's a little bit of resistance to that, but you are being set up for success. So as long as you just kind of roll with it, I feel like you could really land on your feet and be able to make something happen exciting this week. Okay, so good energy overall. One last thing before I move on to air. There could be someone in your midst that has a hard time celebrating, recognizing, or allowing you to sort of shine. And we talked about someone trying to take credit, but they could also be trying to sort of take some of the thunder. Just make sure that you stand strong and don't feel like you have to be less just to kind of make that person feel better. You shouldn't have to reduce your light so someone else can shine. That's the takeaway on that. Okay, moving from earth to air. Air, it's an interesting week. Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. You know, I don't fear the tower, actually. And a reverse tower especially. It's basically saying it's time to make some necessary changes. If you don't like something, this is the week to push back and fix it. You don't like a contract, you say we have to revise it. If something didn't go as planned, it's time to fix it. I recently got a prescription. Twice it hasn't been right, so I'm taking it back and fixing it this week. I also have like a retainer and some other things. I'm like, none of these things are working. This applies to me too. I got to take it back and say, fix it. So it can be simple things like that. It doesn't mean your life is going to be in upheaval. It can be renovation, revision, fixing something, just making sure that things are to your liking. Be picky. It's good. Be discerning. This is also a chance to let go of stuff that you don't need in your life anymore. Shake it off. Like there's a Florence and the Machine song, or Shake It Out, or whatever. I like that song because she's talking about like getting that feeling of like something or someone on your back, getting it off because you don't need to carry that burden anymore. So you're also shaking off any unnecessary attachments and any sort of energy that you might be holding on to as well. So rebuilding, renovating, revising, shifting a little bit. We're out of retrograde, but for my air signs, there's still a little bit of revisionary energy that wants to come through. Embrace it. That would be my advice this week. Clean it up, clear it up, set the foundation so that something really great can come through. And you can see it in the numbering here, but right after the tower is the star. So you're just maybe one step behind, or you have a little bit more work to do than the earth signs, but you're still very close. These are very, very similar energies, okay? And the reward for the hard work is the star, okay? And I was talking about the creation of stars in our universe, and basically they come from a cloud of dust. So, and oftentimes from the destruction of another star comes a planetary nebula, and from that nebula then comes new stars. So you have to break things down before you can build new things. And the reward is clarity. So get clear this week. That's my message for Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. Now moving on to water signs. Pretty good. We got water for water here, the 10 of Cups. This is a great week for relationship energy, for you just feeling like you're on top of things. We see sort of like this pedestal or this apex, basically. It's almost like a pyramid. So some of you have been working really hard to get on top of things emotionally, to really focus on, maybe even there's this new sense of creative clarity, but a great week to team up with others. It's a great week for partnership, for collaboration, for really finding your space in a larger group. And like all of the sort of people-centric cards, you can use this as a magnet energy this week. So whether it's 2 of Cups, 6 of Cups, 10 of Cups, the Lovers, I think I got most of them. They're all just gigantic magnets where people are drawn to you. So focus on the areas in your life where you could use partnership or assistance and aim the lens there. And this includes like having a discussion for maybe you're trying to get a loan to buy a house, or maybe you're trying to get someone to help out with something difficult, and there's been challenges up until now. This signals that people are more likely to partner up and listen to what you have to say. Okay? Across the board, pretty good. I like what I'm seeing here. Okay, now we're going to move into the special topic. Before I do that, I'm going to take a moment here and gift a couple of memberships. So let me do that first, and then we'll move on. Again, you will get a notification. I get questions all the time, like, how will I know? Which sounds like a Whitney Houston song. You will know because the color of your text will go from whatever color it is to green, and you'll get a little notification in YouTube. You probably get an email too, so you'll know if you get it. All right, let's move on now to the special topic. I just gifted 5. Congrats to everyone who got it. Thank you so much. Now we're going to move on to the main part of today. While I'm getting ready here, let's just go ahead and clean all of this up. By the way, if you haven't already hit subscribe, please do so. It helps the channel. And I appreciate it. And to those that got gifted memberships, thank you and congrats. All right, here we go. I think I'm going to use this one today, but let me see. Yeah, we'll just use this one. Okay. Close your eyes, if you will, for a second. Let go of any preconceived thoughts. Just allow your energy, your thoughts, your body to be clear. We're going to be focusing on the star, and we've talked quite a bit about stars and creation and the galaxy. Let's see what you can do to emanate with the energy of the star or the sun, because they're both different words for the same thing. We want to get you into that powerful energy this week. Have Judgment, which is a nice validation for what I pulled through in channel messages. And we got the star. Thank you, universe. All right. I shuffled the heck out of that deck, but we still have some reversals. I think this aligns to those of you that are focusing on like some of the tower energy this week. It makes sense. And we're out of retrograde, but there's still some dust that's settling. So I'll help you with that. Chosen. I'm just going to do another one from this one. All right, let's get started, folks. We're going to begin with your catalyst energy first. And in the energy of the catalyst, we have the moth coming through. So obviously the moth comes through after the cocoon phase of a caterpillar. Chrysalis would create a butterfly, so this is a cocoon. Some of you may still be in the cocoon phase. That's why this moth is reversed. It really doesn't matter with a flying symbol like this, but what it might show for some of you is questioning of like, when will it be okay to announce a change or to take that step? If I think back to like one of the biggest things that I had to do, which was like quit a job. There were other things too, but that one was hard because I'd been working in a path for a while. I needed a nudge from a healer who just was like, what are you waiting for? If you don't do it now, it's going to get harder. I'm not even certain like when the next window will open. And I thought about it. I'm like, yeah, you're right. I'm just dragging my feet. There's never a good time to say goodbye sometimes, or to say I need to move in this direction. You have to do it when it's right for you. So this also works for, divorces, for selling a family house so that you can move somewhere else. It also works for coming out, for anything where it's like, this is who I am, this is what I have to be, and take it or leave it. Like, it's not really up for negotiation. It's already happened. So to me, moth is basically the center card, judgment, which is the genesis, the renewal. And just like the judgment card, it's reversed. So sometimes when we know it, we haven't accepted it. So there's the inner knowing, but there isn't the outer acceptance. And I think that's really the big challenge this week. The only thing that could be hindering some of you is accepting the change that's already happened and just breaking off the cocoon and spreading your wings. It's kind of a beautiful metaphor. So the moth is coming through saying, you're fine. You're already there. You're already one step through. But butterflies and moths have to push their way out of that self-imposed protective shell. And that's also a moment there where there's a little bit of struggle, a little bit of push. We got that with the Seven of Wands, and I believe the Seven of Wands was Monday, right? So don't be afraid to push through if you need to. All right, in the upright position, judgment is renewal, rebirth. And it is exactly what we would see here with the moth and also with a butterfly. It's a second life. It's something beyond your current existence. Bigger, better, brighter. We have birds on this, but it could be a bunch of moths or bats or hummingbirds. I don't care, anything that's flying, but particularly moths and butterflies, because they go through the phase of metamorphosis. So if you're ready to change, this is the week to do it. The reversal again is disbelief, hesitation, sometimes even fear. And there's nothing to fear. Change is not only inevitable, but necessary. If in our own universe, again, going to the energy of the star, because that's what this is about, and I guess that's why I was listening to videos on it, and I took physics back in high school, but I wasn't paying as much attention as I should have. But I was like, I forgot it was mostly just helium and hydrogen, and then it was the big stars that eventually ended up going supernova and doing all that created the heavier elements. So if they didn't die and change, the new stars wouldn't be born. We're all stardust, you know that, right? So we're comprised of many generations of stars, deaths, and rebirths. Our own star is the result of probably a few dead stars, all of that energy. So it's required in this universe for change to happen. Otherwise, we wouldn't have what we see here today. Every tree, every dog, every plant, every person is made from a star. So when you doubt yourself, you're star stuff, right? Okay, so it's your time to shine. You've done it before. We've all gone through the process. And our own energy of soul, like our soul itself, it's infinite, and it goes through all of these combustive things that we call, incarnations. So we are born, we die, we are born again, we die. It's just part of the process. So if you've gone through that, if our universe has gone through many stages, you can handle this one change this week. It's small in the big picture, even though it feels big to you. And that's what I'm getting from Spirit, okay? So there you go. Second chances is another thing that judgment provides for us as well. Crossing this card, we have the Wheel of Fortune. So some of you have made a decision to change your job, change your path, or start fresh. The Wheel of Fortune can hit any part of your life. It's not just your money, although it can be. And it's auspicious when it's crossing the center card. To every season, turn, 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 like that song. So things are continuing to move. Are you ready to take the wheel and go with it? On this card, we have an eagle and a snake representing power and vision. You have the power to do it. You have to trust your vision. You have to get some perspective, perhaps, and take a look at it from a different perspective as well. We see all the signs represented here on this. There's another card in the Robin Wood deck where, if I can find it, I might pull it up later, but we see a person going through every emotion. So on each spoke of the wheel, instead of having zodiac symbols, we have someone going from joy and jubilation to like fear and anger and depression. So whatever you're going through right now, there's also a message here that this too shall pass. There's movement. So I talked about change. That's one constant in the universe. The other one is movement. We're constantly expanding at a more rapid pace, which is kind of weird. So movement and change, they're at the center of the spread. They're in your life right now. You can't fight the energy of movement and change. So why not work with it? It's a good week to talk about your money. If you are looking for a fresh start, it might be the right week to make that change happen. But generally speaking, we see better cycles with your money. Hello, hello. The star is in the deep past, which means it's already in your energetic field. So we have a very Aquarius sort of energy with that too. And with this, we have balance once more. So we had it in the Temperance angel before. Let me see if I can pull her up here. Yeah, she's further back there, but it's fine. So Temperance obviously is taking the two cups and trying to balance them in each other. The star isn't focusing on that sort of exchange. She is like an elevated version of the magician. She's a channel. She's letting this stuff flow through her. And it is like connection to source. She's the conduit. So what you're really going to focus on right now is getting out of the way of worrying what other people are thinking, worrying so much about how it's all going to work out. Instead, you're just going to go with what resonates and be the stellar channel that you are. What does a star do? It creates order. It is not something that can hide. So you may wish for inconspicuous energy, but you're being asked this week, even if it's just for 7 days, to step into the spotlight and take an active role. Speak up, stand up, push back, whatever it is that you have to do that constitutes the spotlight. That's what this is this week. It's all about the spotlight, okay? Let's see, what else? Also, we have 1 foot on the ground, 1 foot in the water, just like the Temperance card. So one thing that I'm getting for some of you is you don't have to be this or that. You can blend. There is an alchemic energy with Temperance and the star. So maybe in the past, people thought you can only go down this lane. No, you have more. You can make something that's kind of like a mix of all of these things and create something brand new. It's kind of like music. Although we haven't seen a lot of change in the last 20 years, when you look at, for instance, like 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, the last 5 decades of the last century, very demarcated decades, from like, doo-wop to Motown to new wave to grunge to pop. Like there were all of these amazing sort of, and classic rock, like you name it. It was really amazing sort of pieces that it all melts together in the past 25 years. We've been living through it. It'll probably be easier. You can tell early 2000s music from 2010, from 2020, but it's not the same way as someone who's been through the 80s and 90s. When you lived through those decades, it just changed and you noticed it. So music changes. We haven't seen a lot of change lately in it, but just like that, sometimes the change is good because that's where everybody kind of flocks and goes. They want the change. So be the change this week, okay? There you go. Let's look at right now. So now we're looking at a couple things I want to say, and then we'll go a little more quickly through that, but the center cards were really important and I needed to take a minute. You have the energy of what we're looking for, the star. It's here in your auric field. A change is underway, and it's a change for the better. Now we're going to look at blocks and opportunities to help you out, because that's really what everything else is going to be. Recent past. Perspective. Okay, so something didn't go maybe the way you wanted it to. 5 of Cups always shows 3 cups overturned, but there's always 2 cups in the background that are upright. And that can signify a best friend, an advocate, a silver lining. You didn't get what you want, but there's a good consolation. There's something worth embracing. This is also important in health. Sometimes we can't change, especially if like there's a broken bone or some sort of a scar or whatever, but we can look at it in the overall context. Is there still functionality? Is it something that isn't going to be as noticeable? Are we making a mountain out of a molehill? It's the bigger perspective. It's a perspective shift. What can you control? What can you change? What else is there to look at besides focusing on a person, place, or thing that is out of your control and may just bring more pain? So a perspective shift, and that's going to be really important. We also have a lot of, this is specific to, I'm using True Heart Intuitive, Rachel True's deck. It's amazing. Lots of optics in this particular card. And this is focusing so much on maybe like you didn't get accepted to a group. Or to college, a college that you wanted, or a company that you wanted. Someone didn't see what you saw. That's okay. It's okay to feel the rejection, but there's someone that will. And I always mention that rejection is protection and redirection. So the universe is saying it's not good enough for you. There's something better. Or maybe you weren't as ready as you thought, but you will be. And there are second chances with that Judgment card. So you can decide if and when you want to take that second chance. This is not like a forever no. That's what I get from that. Okay? Let me take a drink here real quick, and then we're going to talk about this. Okay, crowning position. Prince, which is Knight in this deck, Prince of Swords. Slow down. Take it 1 or 2 steps slower. Knights, particularly the Knight of Swords, this is the fastest card in tarot. Like lickety split, speed of light, if we're sticking with the energy of the star. The reason we would need to slow down and be more present is life does go by quicker than you think. You think, I'm never going to be old, and then you wake up one day and your knees are hurting, right? Or, I can't wait for retirement. You get there and you're like, what am I going to do next? Or we wait, you can't wait to get out on your own, and then you get your first job and you're like, well, this isn't what I thought. So enjoy now. Now is when the magic is happening. It's not this arbitrary point, although we had a lot of, I was looking at the 8 of Wands with that point. The point is the inspiration. It's not necessarily the point. It's not the purpose. This is right here, right now, where you're realizing your potential, you're connecting with your creativity, you're appreciating the blessings, and you're not focusing on all the spilled milk. because it's already spoiled, it's already spilled, it's out of your control. Slow down and take time to smell the flowers. There are flowers on this particular star card. So take some time to smell the flowers today and focus on what you can control. Be kind to yourself, not so critical. Speak up when you need to. And I think that's everything that I have to say. This one is about slowing down and enjoying now. That's how I'm interpreting it, particularly because of what you wanted me to focus on. So easier said than done, but I will say a lot of times the apex moments, these sort of, graduation or breakthrough moments, the climaxes are anticlimactic. You get there and you're like, okay, it was good, but now what? Now what's next? So don't focus so much on the accomplishment, focus on the journey. And that's why we come here every Saturday, or every Sunday rather. All right, let's look at the Seven of Cups in the reverse state. The universe is encouraging you to clear your mind. What's going on? What do you want? What's confusing? Are you putting too many things out there in the universe so it doesn't know how to show up for you? If so, take a deep breath, clarify, and also don't think yourself into this rabbit hole. We actually see the ocean parting for her. When she's clear, things like a path reveals itself. But if you are unclear, the universe doesn't know how to show up. And so it throws a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and things get cluttered. So mental decluttering is the main thing that you can do this week, and really thinking to yourself, and we don't get a chance to do this outside of school so much, and most of the time people don't ask you this. So I'm going to ask you this more to encourage you to kind of come up with an answer by next Sunday. But what is it that you want? We're looking at manifestation and wish fulfillment. And if I take a quick peek here at what you guys have written for me or chosen for me, a lot of this is personal development and career growth, a little bit with spiritual, but what is it that you're trying to do? If you know, then the universe can help you. If you don't know, it's kind of just like, pinball, I like to compare it to. You're just pushing that pinball around, hoping to land on something. So be more clear on what it is that you want, and don't get too in your head space with too many fears or thoughts or anxieties. And there may be one too many things that you're focusing on too. So narrow the focus, narrow the field, be more decisive this week. Okay. I like the Hermit because the Hermit carries a lantern which has the star in it. I may pull the traditional card in a second. So this Hermit we've talked about before has been standing still so long that there's mushrooms growing around them. So the reversal of this Hermit is coming out of your shell. And it's there is safety sometimes in inaction. You're like, well, I'm just going to keep researching. I'm just going to keep moving. But you get sometimes you get to a point where there's diminishing returns and you get stuck. So I think that this week, the call to action is, it's also kind of just validating that you've learned everything that you need to from this experience, whether it's love or a job or anything of that nature. And it's basically the universe saying it's okay to move forward. It's in fact better to move forward and to move on now. So here are the two traditional Rider-Waite-Smith cards. If you look really closely, can you see the star right there? And it's the exact same star that we see right here. So the Hermit prepares you for this. So you've done the work. It's in the cards. It's ready. You're holding on to something, the protective cloak, the cocoon from the past. It's time to let it go. Give yourself another day if you need to kind of wrap your head around it, but it's important to take some action this week. Lean on your learnings, your wisdom, your research when it comes to important conversations this week. You might want to have those facts and figures ready if there is an important conversation, for instance, around money or contracts, and you can use that to your advantage to basically say, this is what we discussed, or this is what's normal or industry standard for those kinds of conversations, or this is what I want, and this is why I want it, and this is how we're going to do it. It can just be decisive energy like that, okay? In the environment, we have an Ace of Cups. The Ace of Cups is reversed. How are you feeling? And it's more of You don't have to answer in real time if you don't want to, but for some of you, there could be a lot that you're dealing with. A lot of pressure, a lot of emotions, maybe some new love, maybe something on your plate where you're like, I'm not sure how to process that. Take your time and remember what we're seeing in like Temperance and the Star. Balance it out. You don't have to lose yourself in the mix of something bigger, whether it's a job or a relationship in particular, even an activity. No subduing, no sort of like giving too much. It should be kind of like the tides, ebb and flow, give and take. And if you're not getting that reciprocity, then you can let it go. Ace of Cups or any of the court cards when reversed are basically, because we have, even in the aces, there's a hand, so you're involved with that. It's saying, I think I'm done with that, or I don't need this, or I need to let go of this so that I can pull that Ace of Cups upright and receive. It may be a little early for some of you to get into a new relationship, or you may just need one more day of self-care again to kind of like get yourself ready for something new. But just in general this week, lean on someone, talk to someone. This can also be, by the way, mentorship or advice. So you can share that with someone else if you're feeling overwhelmed. That's basically what I get there. Heightened sensitivity, heightened creativity as well. That's advantageous, and that connects with the Wheel of Fortune. New love, new opportunity that's knocking, but there is this sense of disbelief that I keep picking up on. So believe it, it's happening. That's what I'm picking up on here too. Okay, let's look at hopes, fears, and opportunities. 10 of Wands, completion. And we have a scarab beetle and a human inside that scarab beetle, showing the cycle of life and death, or rebirth if you want to. But with the 10 of Wands in reverse, it can be a suppressive or repressive energy. It can be a lot. So some of you are thinking, Nicholas, I'm tired of doing the lion's share of the work, like the Strength card, and that's fine. Here's your traditional 10 of Wands. You can push back. You don't have to be Atlas, basically, because that's kind of what this card can represent, is feeling like you have to bear the weight of the world. You don't. You can let stuff go, and I mention this all the time with Wands. First of all, with the 10 of Wands, especially reversed, you're pretty much done. So it could just be about letting something go and moving forward. But if you're feeling too much stress or pressure, just take a pause. Take a moment. You don't want to strain yourself, right? We don't want this to go to the 10 of Swords. And in 10 of Wands, you can go all the way back to very positive cards. 2 of Wands, visionary work. 3 of Wands, manifestation. 6 of Wands, partnership. 8 of Wands, progress. You don't have to do all 10 yourself. Delegate. Ask for help. Take your time. It's not about who finishes first, but finishing best and doing it to the best of your capacity the first time, so you don't have to keep redoing things. And again, with second chances here, because this is a symbol of death and rebirth. It's also a symbol of fertility, which is why dung beetles were so prevalent in like Egyptian illustrations and whatnot, because it brought fertility and growth to life and to the land. So anyway, I feel really happy that some of you are just about ready to step out of a phase or a process, because I do feel like you got everything that you needed to. And it just feels like it's now you're kind of just going through the motions on something. So it's time. Again, it's time to move on. This is my favorite 8 of Cups card because as we look at the outcome, we have Jupiter on the horizon, expansion. The 8 of Cups is cyclical in nature. So some of you have put on pause your sort of growth opportunity. Maybe you decided to take a break from working so you could spend time with your family. Maybe you decided to just take a break because you were getting burned out. We've talked about that. Maybe there was something that you always wanted to do and you were like, well, it's not what my friends and family want, but now I'm at a point in my life where I have to give this a shot. So it's returning to that path, and I see really great expansion on the horizon when you decide to go for it. And it's never too late, never too early, never too late. 8 of Cups is ever present. It's just waiting for you to say, let's do this. Some of you need to take a break. I'll pull up the traditional one too. What happens with the with the 8 of Cups sometimes is if you're constantly doing the same old all the time, you lose a little bit of your perspective, a little bit of yourself. And the Eight of Cups gives you space to not have to say yes or no in the moment, but to say, I'm going to create distance. In the traditional card, we can see it a little easier that there's always space to return. Ostensibly, that person has the missing cup, and they're just taking it with them on this journey of exploration. So if you're overdue for that break or for that perspective, take it, then decide where to go, and then really throw yourself into it. And we see significant expansion on the horizon for you, okay? Really good for personal growth for those of you that are trying to focus on that, for career development, and just across the board. Jupiter is one of my favorite planets, especially if I have a dream about that shows like massive positive growth. And just generally speaking in astrology, it's pretty good too. I can keep my distance with Saturn, but I like Jupiter of all the gas giants. All right, let's go ahead and expand the forecasts: health, wealth, love, and destiny. We're going to begin first with health, looking at mind, body, and spirit. Let's look at your oracle card here. So we have the crone. This is mortality and realizing like the finite nature. Life isn't short, but it is finite. And so the crone comes through kind of like the hermit as one of the sage cards that we can get. And it's saying, use as a litmus test or a measuring stick, sort of like, imagine this is your last day on the planet, or imagine you've lived a long life, 90 to 100 years or something, and you're looking back. If there's a regret right now, I wish I could have, would have, or should have done this, in that mindset. You're 80 or 90, but you didn't do something. Put it into action now. Say that's going to be my number one goal this week or this month. This is also a reminder to respect and connect with your elders, because again, the Hermit card is typically an old man. We have an old woman here, so we have both divine masculine and feminine energy coming through with age and wisdom. So some of you want to lean a little bit on that in your family. If you have a trusted parent or grandparent that's been through life, experienced things, spend some time, get some knowledge, appreciate and celebrate that. It's also saying age, again, we talked about it, change and like time space. We can't really control the aging process that much. You have to embrace it and decide, I'm going to do the most. I'm going to embrace this body that's brought me through this much time, and I'm going to hope that it takes me through the next chapter. And it's really sort of celebrating that part of the aging process too. Because again, we are not here forever. That's also what makes it so special. And that's what makes people memorable. And like a star, stars don't live forever either. So let's make it a bright, resplendent experience. And if there's something that you're doing that dims your light, why are you doing it? Particularly when it comes to health, working too hard, not taking care of yourself, any sort of addictive qualities or whatever's going on that's muting the light. It's time to like release that. And that's the main focus with the crone there. Okay. Could be some aches and pains going on for some of you. Obviously, work with the appropriate professional on that. Let's see what else is coming through for health and well-being here. When it comes to working or working out, 10 of Wands, just like we were talking about, you can especially see it here in the traditional card. It's sometimes taking on too much. Emotional stress, physical stress can lead to a slip disc, pulled muscle, etc., etc. Don't overdo it. That's the main message there. Emotions are running pretty high this week. It may be advantageous to talk to someone because there's only so much that sometimes we can do or the people around us can help us with. So seeking out that advice and wisdom can also be something. Talking to a grandparent or a parent can help out, or a therapist. Slowing down in general, if you have too many things going on in your life or on your schedule, that's really just about making sure that you're not feeling that sense of, again, like you're fighting against the clock constantly. Second chances when it comes to a brush with health situation, a brush with death, losing someone, all of these things kind of wake us up and we make a change for the better. So yeah, emotions and also stagnation, a little bit of sort of I think it's really important to get out into get outside, get some fresh air, some sunlight, Like allow yourself to kind of, some of you may be spending too much time at work or inside, and it creates this sort of cyclical thought process. By and large, though, I like what I see here, and we don't have big problematic cards. It's mostly nuanced energy, and so that's all I have to say for health. Let's go ahead and move on to wealth. This is connected actually with the Wheel of Fortune. So we have the eagle, and we have either a hawk or an eagle on this one. I mentioned getting some perspective. So for some of you, you're in the thicket, you're kind of like focused so much on what's in front of you that you might be missing what's on the horizon. So it says, see it from a higher perspective. Not just like bird's eye view, but also higher energetic perspective. But that's going to get you to the apex of that Wheel of Fortune, and it'll start spinning in the right direction. Silver linings and things of that nature too. Like sometimes the best thing that can happen is something not working out, because it allows you to go down a different path in a different direction. Okay? All right. Briefly, ever so briefly, because I do this at great depth with each of the monthlies, let's take a brief pulse on those that are working, looking for work, or students and retirees. For those that are working, it feels like in this moment, you're very clear on the next step. Some of you are ready to move in a new direction. And I talked about my own experience here. It could just be giving notice for some of you. Just make sure you've got that security blanket, that nest egg, that sort of safety net beneath you, so that you can walk on that path of expansion, which I see. And it looks like many of you have already done that. For the rest of you, this is saying you want to stick around, but it's time for growth. And this is a chance for you to talk about possibilities. This is questioning, this is exploring, and this is saying, I feel like, we don't have to say it, but some of you might be feeling like you hit a glass ceiling or just like a dead end, and it's time to research the alternatives. It does feel like you can make this work, but the person that's deciding may need to circle back. As a decision-making card, this is someone saying, let me take that to my manager and I'll come back. But I like what we see here: wisdom, opportunity, next step, graduation, and then someone coming back and recognizing it. Be clear on what you want. The one sort of cautionary note for those that are negotiating: this isn't a clear negotiation, or it's lacking confidence. So rather than saying what you want with a questioning tone, just put it on the table. Say, I've done this, I've researched this, I'm ready for this. And then when someone comes back, be ready to answer the question. So ask yourself the questions first so you can answer it. But when it comes to, and I mean, this is the same for those that are looking for work as those that might be looking to go up the next level. If you're asking for a raise, know what you want, know what your basement price is going to be too. Go a little bit above that, and then if they keep pushing, just give them what it is. Say nothing less than this. I still think it's always good to pad just a little bit. But that being said, I had an experience once where I was negotiating after I had started a job, been there for a couple months. They liked me and they wanted to hire me, and I had to really push. And we were sitting at the table, and they're like, "What will it take?" And we had been talking for so long. I'm like, "No more or no less than this. Anything less is an insult." And they knew it. They knew from my tone, from the way that I said it. They're like, "Okay, I think we can do this. Just give me a couple hours and we'll get back to you." And it was done. But I had to deliver it in such a way that it was clear that I wasn't going to accept. They wanted me enough. I knew that this was fair. They were already walking me down from a previous job. Thank God nowadays we don't have to say like sometimes our previous employment amount, because I'd worked for a short time at a place where I made less, and they were trying to take that, even though I worked 4 years at a previous place. But anyway, I had all my homework. I was ready and I knew. And because I was strong and I used my voice, they were like, "Okay, let's do this." So instead of saying, "Well, maybe this," say this, and this is my final offer. Like if you're trying to buy a house, if you're trying to get that raise, whatever it is, like you have to have that sense of strength. But do it based on research and true sense of value. Because anything less, for me in that moment, I was like, this isn't enough. So you could be freelancing and then getting that final offer like I'm talking about. Push for the right thing, because I did see a little bit of, like you might need to push for your worth when I was looking at dream messages. Ask questions. Why not? What do you think? Why aren't we in this place? So when you have your research and your data, you can push for the hard questions. You have to come very prepared. And then also, if they do ask for like previous employment when you're negotiating, is that legal? Do I have to tell you that? Why do you need to know that? All of that. Anyway, so I think that people that currently have a job that want to get advancement can do it? Yes, there may be travel involved. These are both showing travel. That might be one thing that you're going to have to look at in that, or you might have to transfer or move for that to happen. Okay. All right, let's go ahead now and take a look at those who are looking for work. So everything I just said with respect to negotiations works for both employed and seeking employment, because you may be sitting at a negotiating table either way, looking at what the next path will be. If you're looking for work, I feel like your communication skills are pretty good here. Listening is key though. And if you're on an interview and the interviewee is talking but not listening, you might have to pause them a little bit too. Like, that's all I see, is that there might be that one-way communication. So make sure that both sides are getting a chance to talk, and that they're not eating up your time, or that you're not eating up all your time talking too much. Say a little bit, let them ask a little bit, back and forth, because you can talk yourself into sort of like a whirlpool. Clarify. I feel like every time I look at job seeking, the clarification message comes through, but it's important. With the Seven of Cups, I may, like back when I used to be in a hiring capacity, I would look at it and be like, I'm not sure what they're trying to do next. Sometimes people's careers or their choices, they don't always align, or the way that they're presenting themselves on paper or on a website. I'm like, what are you trying to get from this job? So when you're at the interview, make sure that you're clear on how this fits into the bigger vision. I think you have a chance this week of making a splash here. We have one option on the table in the environment. 10 of Wands, 8 of Cups. It's going to take them a couple of rounds to make a decision. A face-to-face would be good. You may have to really, don't overdo it, but like push for another interview or follow-up or something like that. Because there might be someone that's busy and this falls off the radar. That's what I'm seeing a little bit. Entrepreneurial energy is coming through a lot. The Star card is like, I'm done with all of this. You have to have the capital in order to do this. One of the reasons it took me longer to decide to quit is I had to have enough saved up to float me for 2 years. Because when you start a business, the first year, typically you're not making money. And the second year, I broke even, kind of. It took me 3 or 4 years to really get to a point where I was in a good space, and it took me a full 8 to get back to where I was prior to like leaving. So it takes time to build. So you need to make sure you have the capital and the business plan. You can get there faster with like a loan or an investment. And that could be something that you look at with the 5 of Cups, so that you don't have to do this all on your own. But that's what I see. Entrepreneurial energy coming through. Get the business plan ready, crunch the numbers, and let that kind of just help you decide what's next. Go bigger, because we had the World this week, and we have a card here that shows like not just where you're at, but this could be more of a global sort of thing. So if there's a product or service and you're going to go the route of entrepreneur, then you want to make sure that you're not leaving out a larger marketplace. For those that are students, let's say you just got accepted into some colleges. Although the times are, I don't know when you applied, but maybe you've even been in your degree for like, half a year. This could be sort of a change in direction. You think to yourself, I wanted that, but now I kind of want this. It's okay. It's okay. You can shift at any point. Also, some of you just completed, because we're nearing graduation. And now it's your turn to really decide what you want to do. Ask a lot of questions as you kind of go into the next chapter of your life, whether it's another semester or an internship or a first job. And ask yourself the question too, which is, will this make me, we're looking at a larger thing today, bringing it back, thank you students, fulfillment. Will this fulfill me? I think everybody needs to think, does it satisfy me on like a creative level, on an intellectual level, on just feeling like I'm making a difference? And if it doesn't, how long am I going to do it? Why am I doing this? How does this match up to my strategy? When it comes to your degree and your choice of school, really make sure it's for you. Judgment in reverse is saying you might want to do something else, but you're suppressing the judgment. I want you to go into this, be yourself, shine. You have many lifetimes to live, but you only live this one once. So don't delay things and think you'll always have a chance to do it. Now is your moment. Retirees, the same message. There's a nice kind of waterfall as I go from kind of like section to section. This is your next big moment. You've been through a big part of your life, helping everybody else, doing other things, working. Now this is your chance to go back and look at that bucket list and look at this and think like, okay, there may be fewer days ahead than there are behind, but now I can make the most out of these. I can have a lot of fun, and I'm not going to sweat the small stuff. Travel is on the horizon. Going back, for some of you, going back to school or learning something new. I think for many of you, the most important thing is, what are you doing to expand intellectually? This is looking at all the options and having fun and learning at every age and every stage of our lives. You're never too old, you're never too young. That's why I kind of group together students and retirees, because you're at that part of your life where big changes can happen and you can do a lot more for yourself. All of us that are stuck in the middle, it gets a little trickier to navigate, but students and retirees, you can do a lot. It's more malleable. It's like a potter. You can throw the clay down and say, I want to go this path instead. And you can do it. So never lose kind of like the connection to that malleability. All right. And I think that's pretty much everything. There could be new love and friendship coming in for retirees. And that's a nice segue as we're looking at basically love. So universe connecting us with the world card, something big, something new, something expansive. So this is where the big expansion is happening for some of you, is in relationships. And let's look at it. Sorry, wrong card there. So let's look at it and see what's coming through here. We're going to break it down into 3 categories: those in love, looking for love, or happily single. Just because I say happily single, that doesn't mean that other people aren't happy. I'm just saying, like, if some people can be happy in that phase of being single, you can also be happy in a relationship. So don't get stuck on semantics. For those in a relationship, there is karmic energy at play. The karmic energy has to do with worth, seeing one another as being equals, as being valuable. So communicating worth and appreciation, that's going to be the most important thing. Listening. This is the orator. This is the soliloquy, making sure that you're listening more than you're talking. And if your partner is blah, 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 talking, making sure that you pause it and say, I actually need to talk to you about something. And making sure that you have equal airtime. That's what I'm picking up on. I do like that there is an Ace of Cups in the environment, but it seems like it's one direction. So if one person is constantly initiating time together or empathy or whatever, it's time to find that reciprocity. I see some traveling or moving. So some of you might be sorting that out, and the dust is settling with respect to that. It's more important now than ever to really be there for one another. I think that many of you have also come through a challenging situation. You made a decision to stick it out, some of you. This can be a disappointment. This is a realization that you're going to put in the work. This is kind of like looking at how to make it work. And we see things getting in a better trajectory here. Some of you may just be over it, and that's okay too. The good news here is I see that there probably can be an amicable handoff here. But you'll have to sometimes push for what you want in that situation. In general, this is about speaking up, standing out. So this is your moment to really shine one way or another. Because we have the star energy here, you should come out on top. So focus on that feeling of empowerment. If you're looking for love, karmic energy again coming through, judgment being past life energy. Judgment in the 7 of Cups. This is interesting. This can be feeling judged because of who you are, who you love, what you do, etc. At the end of the day, that's devil energy. That's conditional love. So if you're getting that conditional love from parents or peers or other people in your life, let it go. And be who you need to be, love who you need to love, step into your own path, be the star. Can you find love? Yes. What kind of energy is coming through? Pretty strong air sign coming through. The interesting thing is there could be a distance component or an on and off, hot and cold sort of energy. 8 of Cups can be someone who can't get enough of your time and energy, and then they go like crickets, ghost energy for like 2 or 3 days, and then they're hot and heavy again. So erratic, on and off. Make sure that you set expectations, and if that's not enough, you speak up. There could just be a lot going on in your life and in that person's life right now. So I think taking it slowly is key. So if it kind of goes into that really hot and heavy energy, pull it back just a little bit, spread it out over time, take your time, get to know yourself, get to know that person, see how the two of you connect. Overall this week, I think there's a lot more opportunity to focus on personal development and growth, and spending a little bit of time with yourself to kind of figure out what you want first and foremost. And then you can kind of put your energy into the relationships. And that is a nice segue into those that are single and happily single. This week, where basically a lot of ideation, a lot of brainstorming, a lot of new ideas coming forth. For some of you, you also see a way to kind of like make a big difference, how to bring this to a larger audience. And so this could be through publishing or speaking, public speaking. I did see oration, I did see soliloquies, but just make sure if you're doing something with respect to public speaking, again, that there's checking in on making sure that it's resonating with people. Is the tone right? Are people into what you're doing, or are they falling asleep? So communication, there's a big opportunity this week to be a more effective communicator. But I see some productive stuff coming through, and I feel like you can get a lot done as well. And if something didn't work out before, you can make it work this week. Second chances. Okay, let's move on. Let's look at destiny. Well, that's kind of what we were talking about here with the expansive energy. So a partnership could bring you into the bigger, better phase in your life next year. So we have partnerships and alliances. This does not need to just be love. This can be an advisor at school. This can be a boss at work. This can be a friend in day-to-day life. It can also be someone who's coaching or helping you, like a doctor or even like a trainer or anything like that. The key to success this week is working with, leaning on, and connecting with others. There's a resistance to it, but when you stop resisting and start engaging with it, that's when the transformative energy starts to flow through. We're going to look at a couple of things here before we get into the next phase. I'm going to end the poll here, which I put up at the very beginning, and see what the winner is here. So personal development looks like where many of you are kind of focusing. So let's pull one card to look at that personal development area, and then we'll do a big idea. Okay, pretty darn good card for personal development. King of Pentacles in the reverse state. So this is like divine masculine, but also paternal energy. I don't really read gender, so it can be paternal, maternal energy. But basically nurturing and giving to others has been a large part or a large focus for many of you. And now you get to receive, and you get to ask, and you get to open yourself up for things. It's also saying if you want or need something, to put the request out there, whether it's love, money, support, whatever. You get to ask. It's okay to ask. Back to that Ace of Pentacles, which we had back in the beginning. And I was saying, like, it's okay to ask for more. Exactly. The King of Pentacles is saying that. Home improvement, by the way, because King and Queen of Pentacles have to do with your home. So the reversal of this can be renovation. I remember my air signs had this. Cleaning, clearing, finding a new home. That's something I'm focusing on. So it can be all of those things this week. And then really trust what you're receiving. I love that he has this crown of branches. It reminds me a lot of like, I forget the name of the Legolas's father in like The Hobbit. But yeah, it's basically like the crown that he wore, tuning you in. Whenever we look at like druid-based decks, a lot of times you'll see antlers or branches. Like allow yourself to really take the insight that's coming through and trust it. Okay? Okay. Now let's look at the big idea for today, for this week ahead, and see what the universe wants us to focus on with respect to wish fulfillment and manifestation. How can you either embrace it or get out of your own way? We've talked a lot about it already, but let's see. All right. As the card flies off the table, we have one of the best cards for abundance here, the Empress. She's like Gaia personified here, Earth. We see her connected to everything. So it also is saying you're the source. You are the creative source to make it happen. So we're not even looking at the final card, but this is an affirmative sort of thing saying, yes, whatever you're trying to do is possible. The main thing is belief in self and action and follow through on what it is that you intend and hope and want to do. So this is boss energy. So is this. So ask for whatever it is that you need and then be the agent of change. This, again, will connect with those air signs that might be in that energy of what's going on here. Be the agent of change, but everybody can connect with that and be the boss. I've been getting a lot of that as I was looking at some of the daily cards too, whether it was the Star or the Empress. I feel like we've gotten that within the past week. So it's really owning it, embracing it, believing it, birthing it, letting it go. And that's a nice sort of segue into the next section here. So we're going to do two things. We're going to do a quick meditation, and then I'll look at a final question. So I'm sure all of you have at least one more thing that you're like, but I need clarity on this. Good news. There'll be one card at the end, so stick around for that. We're going to meditate first. Before we do any of that, as I said earlier, if you haven't already subscribed, consider doing so. It's free. It helps the channel growth. You can also click on the bell icon to make sure that you don't miss out on any future videos. And you can also join me on social media just to get extra reminders. We'll talk more about that later, but let's go ahead first and meditate. So clearly and not surprisingly today, we're going to, connect with a star. And I think I'm going to go through the creative process of being in that nebula of dust and energy and creating focus and power and strength. So let's do that. Let me just bring the singing bowl over. Before I do that, close your eyes, and I'd just like you to take a couple of deep breaths. Not trying to create any thoughts or any energy, just focus on the sensation of breathing. As you inhale, imagine that you are sweeping in light into your body, into your energy, into your being. As you exhale, you're going to release any sort of cobwebs, dust, etc., and just put them into space. Now imagine that you are in you're in outer space and a part of the galaxy that we've never been, and you are creating basically the seeds of the next sort of step into your life. So as you're exhaling, I want you to see these cosmic clouds of dust, old energy, old karma, heavy emotions, stuff that you don't need, stuff that you don't want, all that junk. Just see it going out into space. And if you've ever looked at pictures of the Milky Way or a stellar nebula, you realize that dust, when it heats up, it can get kind of pretty. So see all of this stuff that was dark and shadowy and kind of unsightly, now see it starting to heat up and kind of become beautiful, beautiful shades of magenta and blue and aquamarine. Now see yourself at the center of all of this dust, all of this energy, and imagine that it starts to swirl around you, creating this disk, basically a proto solar system spinning around you. Now I want you to focus on one thing that you want this week. It's important to be clear. So just one thing that you want to see progress on. And as you exhale, imagine that there is this burst of light and energy, and the cloud dissipates. And instead of the dust, you see clearly what it is that you want, and you see a path from you to it. And because you are emanating the energy of a star, you're pulling it closer and closer with each breath, until eventually you can see a symbol for whatever that is, just kind of planted over your heart. And you can hold it there as we meditate, knowing that you're getting one step closer, one breath closer to your goal. Take a deep breath. Feel lighter, brighter, clearer, and ready for whatever it is that you're trying to create or bring into your life. If you haven't already done so, I'd like you to take one final exhale. Gently open your eyes. Turn your focus, if you will, on a single question. This is your last card, last question of today. Apollo's coming in, so we'll let him say hello after this is all said and done. But please go ahead and focus on that question, and let's see what the universe has in store for you. All right, so we have Seven of Wands. The card came through reversed, and it reminds me of the Sting song, Building a Fortress Around Your Heart. You can kind of let that fortress go. Some of you have put the defenses up to the point that it's difficult for people to reach across, to connect with your, with your personality, with who you are. So I'll remind you of something that a really good old friend told me once when I was going through a challenging situation. And I was like, I felt like I wanted to contract and just kind of blend in. She said, honey, if you close down all of the chakras, that's like death. You have to spin them brighter and be stronger. So rather than trying to hide from someone that's intimidating you, you get brighter and you get stronger. And so you also don't have to go into this sort of phase of trying to protect yourself and do all this stuff. Energetically, the best defense is to raise your frequency, shine brighter, be a beacon of clarity, honesty, integrity. And if it is someone like the Seven of Swords, the Five of Swords, the Devil, or the Moon that's in front of you, they will not know what to do. They're going to scurry, kind of like cockroaches or whatever. They're going to run away. They don't like the light. So you just have to be the light this week. Push back on anything that doesn't feel right. Have a strong sort of personal boundary where necessary, and don't dim your light. Let the boundaries down for people that you can trust. It's hard sometimes if you're hurt or if you want to always protect yourself, but part of existing on this planet is being able to exchange energy. And one of the things that's going to be, necessary for success this week is partnership and alliances. So there's people that you can trust. There's places where the boundary can kind of go down a little bit. So it's just reminding you that you can't live in a castle. You shouldn't have to dim your light, and you don't have to fight for everything all the time. So when things are too hard, let them go. If people are acting a fool, just shine a light on that, and don't change yourself to try to be something for someone else. All of those things come through. As a yes or no, it's a yes, but work smarter, not harder, and push back on unnecessary sort of requirements and whatnot. I'll bring Apollo up at the end. He just came through, but let's go ahead and wrap up everything here first and foremost. Thank you everybody for showing up today. This was a kind of magical reading, which I appreciate because I'm operating on very little sleep since I was awakened at 1 a.m. last night. So I'm glad. Well, this is something that I love about the readings here. It's a great energetic exchange. So when I channel, I also get to receive a little bit of energy here. So thank you. Let's begin with members. I'll start with all the newest members, then I'll look at those that gifted or celebrated an anniversary. Looks like we have a decent amount today, so I'll try to go through it quickly. Wow, we have a lot. Okay. So this is welcome or welcome back. I remember a lot of these names, and I can see some of you have crowns and you know the little emojis. You've been here for a while. So welcome and welcome back to the following: Mercathea, Misty, Alta, Melody, Maria, Jenny's Road, Sandy, Angie, Annabella, Semolina, Voluptuo Art, Amy, LC, Estrine, Francisca, Karen, Melissa, Heidi, Hina, Marina Mary, Amanda, Canadian Lavender, Gina, Sanam, Lilith, Christine, and Nos. And then I'd like to give a couple of shout outs to those that might be going through a, let's see here, anniversary or you gifted. So let's see what's going on here. So Raven, thank you for gifting a membership. Let's see, Lucy Rodriguez, 27 months of a membership. Happy Cinco de Mayo to you as well and to everybody else. I appreciate you. Let's see who else. Colette, thank you for gifting 5 memberships today. Let's see who else. Paula B, thank you for gifting 5. Same thing for Deborah. Appreciate you guys. Let's see. April Main, 20 months of membership. Pleasure having you here as well. I'm glad you enjoyed. Renee Smith, thank you for gifting 1 membership. Carmen, congratulations for 18 months of membership. Couldn't be here without all of you guys, and you're helping me sort of create new things like the podcast, so I appreciate it. Jill Sheets for 21 months of membership. Thank you so much. Shelly, thank you for gifting a membership. And Marjorie, 31 months. Get out of town. Thank you so much. I think I caught everybody there that gifted or gave back, so thank you so much. Now I will say a quick thank you to those who gave some super stickers, and then we'll wrap up here in just a second. All right, super stickers. Here's who we have for today. Okay, so Raven, Charlotte, Cece, Jeannie, Drinda, Vanessa, Pauses and Passages, Phoebe, Charlotte, Raven, Lucy, Jessica, Jackie, Cynthia, Jasmine, Rosie, Jordan, April, Monica, Lisa, and Jeannie. I saw a couple of those twice, so thank you so much. And every little bit helps. Again, I wouldn't be here without all of your love and support, so thanks. A couple of quick secretarial things, and then we'll wrap up. Again, if you want additional reminders beyond liking and subscribing, you can also join me on social media. I currently see 3 fake accounts on TikTok. I've reported all of them. But just a reminder, I don't offer private readings and I won't use direct messages. For whatever reason, TikTok takes like 1 month to remove them. So I always say this, for those loyal viewers, you know this, but it helps me to repeat that. So be smart, block and report if you can. And if you ever need validation, you can always go to my website to see the real stuff, or right here on YouTube. It's on the main channel page. My production schedule, new videos usually come out Monday, Thursday, Friday at the very end of the day, almost at midnight. And then new videos, a new daily card reading every day. And I'm here every Sunday. So please join in if you would like to just kind of like take a pulse check on the week ahead. Podcast has been out. I'm currently reaching out to future guests. I'll keep you posted when the next one is coming. And that's everything. Let's get Apollo here for a little bit of love here at the end. Oh, here we go. So I hope everybody has a fantastic week ahead, that you emanate with the energy of the star. Lots of love from Apollo and I. Thank you for being the best part of what I do here. Do something special for yourself. Have a great day. And thank you again for being present today. And if I missed anybody, I'm sure that Dakota said thank you as well. Dakota, thanks for your help too. All right, guys, see you again next week. And also, like I said, daily as well. Take care. Bye-bye.